All right, the latest chapter in the ongoing saga of former Boise City Council member Lisa Sánchez, well, that's getting inked right now. A Fourth Circuit judge, I should say, heard arguments today on Sánchez's lawsuit against the city. Reported earlier this year, Sánchez inadvertently moved out of her district for a period of time. Her attorney says it was only 12 days. But that was enough time for the city of Boise to proclaim her council seat vacant for not living within her district. Earlier this month, Boise Mayor Lauren McLean appointed a replacement. Well, Sánchez and her attorney say the city doesn't have that authority to remove a council member and then put a replacement in her place. Not a legitimate council member anyway. Sánchez is asking the city council to stop all business until they give her her job back. Here's Andrew Bartline.
Months removed from her seat on the Boise City Council, Lisa Sánchez is suing the city of Boise.
The city of Boise, without any power or authority, removed her based on an internal, unwritten legal opinion.
Former U.S. Attorney for Idaho, Wendy Olson, represents Sánchez, and they're asking the judge for a preliminary injunction to provide Sánchez with immediate interim relief.
If injunctive relief is not granted, then effectively Lisa Sánchez will be precluded from having release.
They asked the city council to stop all business until Sánchez has returned to the council. District 3 voters elected Sánchez for a 2-year term. It ends in January of 2024. Sánchez, however, moved out of her specific district for 12 days because of a lease termination.
That's all the authority the city of Boise relied on when its council president told plaintiff she was no longer a city council member. No state statute allows the city to make that decision, and no city ordinance allows the city to make that decision.
However, the city's lawyer says it was Sánchez alone who made the decision for them.
We're here because of plaintiff's own doing, nothing that the city did.
Daniel Williams argues the city is following state law that defines a vacant office.
And that's Idaho Code 59-901.
It reads,
"The incumbent ceases to be a resident of the district for which she may have been elected." That event happened, Your Honor. It doesn't matter if it was a day or 100 days or 2 years. That event happened.
Olson says Sánchez moved out of the district unintentionally, but the city argues she should have known better because Sánchez's voting record on council suggests she did understand the map boundaries after voting to approve it.
Intentional or not, there was a happening here that the incumbent ceased to be a resident of her district.
But the removal of Sánchez, Olson holds, is a job of the court, not the city of Boise.
What they needed to do was to go before a court and say, look, we think she vacated her seat, and because she doesn't think she vacated her seat, if in fact 59-901 applies.
Further argues the city is under significant risk, I should say, by removing Sánchez and appointing somebody else as her replacement, because they say somebody who is unhappy with what the city's deciding to do with the council, well, they can then argue that it's not legitimate, and then it just piles up more and more and more if Sánchez was removed illegally from her seat. That preliminary injunction, Brian, is really asking the judge to take things back to normal, to make it so a court has to remove Sánchez if that's the right thing to do. But of course, they're hoping that she stays in place.
Okay, so from what I understand, how this whole thing played out, it played out very quickly. Didn't she ask for legal guidance on this prior to being removed? Like, hey, I moved, or if I move here, am I outside of my district?
The argument in front of the judge today, Olson says that there was a text message she gave city staff saying, does this address count? Is this in District 6? There is a new boundary coming up next election cycle where that district would now be District 6. They said, yes, it is in District 6. District 6, the new District 6, is not the same as the old District 3, which is what we have now. That's not the question she asked, according to the defense.
Gotcha.
So they're saying she got a truthful answer, but she asked the wrong question.
Huh, okay, all right. When should we expect a decision on this?
For the preliminary injunction, the judge says next week.
Next week. All right, thank you very much, Andrew.